All right. Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I am here for our weekly lunch and learn. I'm just getting a couple things closed out on my computer. So I'm so happy to be here because today I'm talking about something a little bit different than I normally do. And each week, I like to explore topics that help you elevate your mindset and really be your best, that ways that you can radically expand your life, radically expand your business. And today I'm going to actually share why the worst day of my life was actually the best day. So if you feel like life is, maybe things in your life are falling apart, or you hear yourself complaining, perhaps you're even crying more than you normally do, and you just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe it was a lot brighter a few days ago, a few weeks ago. If this sounds like something that's familiar to you in your life, I want you to stick around because you are in the right place. And let me know if you can relate to any of that, because I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and this is a very energetic time. So I would love to know where you're coming in from. And if you're tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat. If it is your first time here, type in first time in the chat. Now, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm Larissa McCooch. I'm CEO of Abundance Academy, and we help high achieving women who know that they're destined for more eliminate their negative mental barriers and bridge the gap from dreaming to doing so they can have a life and business they want and love. Now, before I got into all this, I want to tell you about this worst day of my life. It was probably, when was it? 2008. And I was sitting in my dad's apartment, okay, here in Toronto. And he had he had a bed with like old dusty rose pink bed sheets, peach colors on the wall. And I was sitting there on the bed. I was actually staying with him at the time because I had just recently gotten divorced. I was in the process of getting divorced, actually. And I left my business. I could not continue it. I had to move. I moved from where I was living to live with my father. And so the work I had, the friends I had, everything that I had built up over many years was literally gone. I had no money left, right? I was doing really well. And then all of a sudden everything went poof. Marriage had fallen apart, and I felt like I had nothing. I literally felt like I had gone backwards. I felt so helpless and hopeless sitting on the bed. And I remember I'd always had big dreams and goals, and I didn't really have the tools in order to fulfill them. And so things had dramatically changed for me very quickly. And I remember sitting there feeling like I don't know where to start. I'd never had a full-time job prior to that. I'd always worked, I'd always made great money, but I never had to conform to society. And in that moment, I remember thinking that it was almost like there was a knife stabbing me in the heart. Cancel that. But I remember thinking, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to go get a real job and do something I absolutely hate doing. And I don't know how to do this, but in that moment, I was willing to do that. I was willing to do whatever it took in order to keep going in a direction. At that point, I had no idea what the direction was. I was completely aimless, and it felt really terrible because I'd always had something to aspire to. And sometimes we get into these moments and we get into these funks, and they spiral down very quickly. However, something in me decided that I could keep going no matter where I was. And I was willing to go slowly. We've been talking in our self-image intensive about this idea: are you willing or are you able? Okay. And in that moment, I didn't know if I was able, but I knew I was willing to take things one step at a time. And sometimes when we are armed with information, when we have massive skills, when we have massive tools in our toolbox, and you forget that life can happen one step at a time, and you're trying to run, you need to actually calm down in order to speed up. And so that's exactly what I did. And let me know, raise your hand and tell me in the chat if you can relate to any of this, because I'm sure you can relate to a part of this where things are going great in your life. And then all of a sudden, boom, reality sets in and you are not where you wanted to be. That's not where I wanted to be at 27. I'd been on my own since I'd been 17 and I had gone backwards. But would you like to feel more confident about the direction you're headed in life? I know I did. Would you like to quiet the mental chatter in your mind? I know I did. Are you ready to see things change even if the picture isn't clear yet? I raised my hand to that. I know I wanted that. And I wanted these things so bad. So I took it one step at a time. And by doing that, I literally kept going. I had this hope and desire for something in the future that wasn't clear to me at the time. And I started to find work that I loved and I got really, really incredibly passionate about. I started to use my body and move my body in ways I didn't know I was capable of. That was fun. That was exciting. It led me to meeting my husband. It led me to traveling the world. It led me to running a multi-million-dollar company, having my son, and learning so many incredible lessons along the way. And best of all, it reignited my passion for personal growth. Okay. It got me reacquainted with it very slowly at first, but it led me down a path I had always dreamed of. I dreamed of for so many years prior to. Now, there are things called universal laws. Okay. So universal laws are things like the law of gravity. Okay. It's something that is present everywhere in all places at the same time. That's a law. Okay. That's like a scientific law. So gravity says if I drop this highlighter, it will fall. Now, there are other laws, universal laws. They might be known as spiritual laws that work and create order in our universe. And these laws have been around since the dawn of man. They're found in the Bible and religious texts. They're found in metaphysical texts. They're found in folklore. And they're just expressed in different ways. And when you start to understand things like the law and how the universe works, these are the rules, it's like the code of conduct or operations manual of the universe, you really start to gain a new perspective on life. Okay, you start to gain order in your life. You create more prosperity and abundance in your life. Your relationships start to flourish. You feel more joyful, and you may even feel more whole. And that's ultimately what it's about. It's about turning our conscious awareness into something greater so that we can live a beautiful and holistic life, a full, rich, and joyful life. Now, bad things can happen. Bad things do happen. That's one thing that's inevitable. However, your interpretation of it is actually going to dictate your reality. Now, there's something called the law of polarity. Now, the law of polarity states that everything has an opposite and it actually has an equal opposite. So if something apparently bad happens, it actually has the equal potential opportunity for good. So in that moment when I was sitting on my father's bed, I didn't know that. I didn't know the words to articulate that. Now I do. However, I remember sitting there going, okay, I really can't go any further down. The only direction I can go is up at that point. And that was a turning point for me because in any uncomfortable situation, you can choose to stay there or you can choose to learn the lessons. And you can either have the lessons or the losses. It's your choice. I prefer learning the lessons. Sometimes the lessons take longer to learn. However, whenever losses happen, whenever apparently negative things happen, there is a lesson to learn. When you learn the lesson, you can start finding the good in things. You can start appreciating the good. When you begin to look for the good in things, you're going to start attracting more and more of it. So this is what I want you to look at in your life. If something isn't working out the way you would totally desire, if something is a little bit stagnant, then you have an opportunity to change it. And sometimes the worse it feels, the better the possibility for outcome there will be. Because my possibility for outcome, I didn't have a clue of what it would be. And it turned out to be absolutely incredible. And I'm so grateful I had that experience. I had that moment, because prior to that, everything in my life had been easy. Everything was just so easy. And even though it was easy, I felt like everything had been handed to me on a silver platter. I had a lot of guilt, I had a lot of shame, and I had a lot of discomfort over that. My friends, they were working hard. I never had the opportunity to do that. So what did I do? I deliberately created the circumstances in my life to flip it around. And in that moment, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm at my rock bottom. And it didn't feel good. However, I wanted to go higher. I wanted to get back to where things were, and I wanted to let them be easier. I like having opportunities come to me with ease. Okay. And so we ask for everything that does happen to us in our lives, and it's in a very strange way. However, looking back, I also realized that one of the lessons I had was that we do manifest everything we ask for. I had asked for that particular moment, even though I didn't like how it felt at the time. I did ask for it. Sometimes we ask for very silly things. So it's so important and it's so key for us to ask for what we want and be really, really purposeful with it. You want to ask for really good things. Everything you say is true. Everything you believe is true. And everything that comes out of your mouth, even if you think it's a side comment, is so key and it's so powerful because it's dictating your future and it's dictating where you are in life. So you want to start paying attention to the words that you're saying. Pay attention to the thoughts you're saying. Pay attention to the feelings you have, because they're dictating the results you get. Now, when you're in these uncomfortable situations or uncomfortable places, often you will actually feel like you're reverting backwards before you take your next big leap or your big shift forwards. That seemed to be the lowest point in my life. Okay. In the grand scheme of things, it was not that bad. In that moment, it felt like the worst day of my life. It felt like the low point of my life. However, because of that day, I started to notice the contrast and the great and beautiful things that have come. And that day springboarded a more joyful life than I'd ever had before. So many of the negative emotions I was able to start letting go of and start embracing the positive, which I never had the opportunity to do before. Now, God gives you everything you ask for. I started asking for better answers. I started asking for a better path. And God, or the universe, whatever you call them, the path may not be the path you ask for. The result will come about. Sometimes you will get these things that you're looking for in the strangest ways, be they good or bad. And I was able to have my son. All I'd ever wanted was to have a baby, and it took a lot longer. However, I got him. I found the relationship of my dreams. I found my husband. I actually, 6 months prior to, I had written a list of everything I wanted in a partner, everything I didn't want. And I put that away in my desk. And I remember 6 months after that point in time, when I was moving out of my dad's apartment, I was like, yay. I looked at this list, and I saw that my husband, my partner at the time, now my husband, was everything on that list. He's not 6 feet tall, but I figured that was okay. So everything I had asked for, I had manifested. And good things started coming into my life the more clear I got about asking for them, because clarity is power. And before that, I just wanted random stuff and I didn't have the clarity. And the more times I kept coming back to what I wanted, what I desired, I started getting more and more of it. Now, I put together a vision casting process to actually guide you through this idea of creating the life that you truly desire, creating the life that you truly, truly want. Because back then, I didn't know where to start. And it took me years and years and years to create this vision, but slowly and surely it got more and more clear. And I know that you can be absolutely unstoppable wherever you are in life. You can see miracles, you can do wonderful, wonderful things. And there's nothing more that I love to see than that for you. So we are actually holding an Unstoppable You workshop in a few weeks. I think it's towards starting at the end of March. So it's actually in about 6 weeks. And I'm inviting you to be my guest. I'm inviting you to step into becoming unstoppable, because when you put yourself first, regardless of where you're at, when you put the deposits in your piggy bank, nothing is going to stop you. You've got to put the deposits in your piggy bank. It's almost like planting seeds in the garden of your mind, right? Your mind is like a garden. When you plant the good seeds, they're going to flourish. You've got to pluck the weeds as well. So in this Unstoppable You workshop, we are going to go through your life vision. We're going to look at what specific next steps you want to take and who you need to be in order to make it happen, regardless of where you are in life. Because when you start to tap into your truth, when you start to tap into your power, magical and wonderful things can and will happen to you. You will start to see miracles. So I'd love to invite you to be my guest. We'll pop a registration link in the chat here. Okay. And we'll also have it all over our pages. Right now, this is our last free workshop. It's a 5-day workshop, and we are running it end of March. We would love for you to join us and become a part of our community. And if vision casting is a process that you're interested in, send us a DM. We'd love to chat with you about it. We have workshops periodically, and we don't have another one scheduled, but we will have one soon. So if you'd like to get added to our waitlist, send us a DM. So you have yourself a beautiful and wonderful day, and allow those days that aren't so good become wonderful days. Look for the lessons you have to learn. What lessons do you need to learn from wherever you're at? Because when you're down, the only way you can go is up. And you will shock, you will surprise, you will amaze yourself at how far you can go. Bye for now.